WrestleMania 41 Night 1. In a word, messy but beautiful. The road to WrestleMania 41 has been a messy ride, even more so than WrestleMania 40. And if you know WrestleMania 40, you know that the whole thing with The Rock and Cody was such a mess. I almost dropped watching wrestling entirely. It was a mess. But somehow they managed to pull back the entirety of WrestleMania 40 and actually make one of the best WrestleManias I've ever seen. And WrestleMania 41, I think, was even messier. From storylines not necessarily clicking for quite a long time and taking a while to actually build some momentum and any steam whatsoever, case in point, Jey Uso and Gunther. From builds like Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton actually feeling weirdly personal but not really hitting the mark exactly, but at the same time kind of doing a decent job in building the match. It was such a rocky ride. Even some matches questionably somehow making it on the card, even though it just felt like this was not WrestleMania worthy. This was, to say the least, a very messy ride. But I have to say, with all things considered, this was amazing. Surprisingly so. But with that being said, let's get into it. So opening match night 1, Jey Uso versus Gunther. First thoughts, that was unexpected. Genuinely, that was unexpected. And not exactly what you're thinking. Jey Uso versus Gunther kind of took a while to really get there. It was struggling for quite a while in this rivalry for me to have any interest. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Jey Uso. I like that he won the Royal Rumble. It kind of hurt me that John Cena lost, but it is what it is. I'm still happy that he won. But the build for this was lacking, and it took quite a long while. It only started getting any good when Jimmy came along. And that's when it kind of hit for me. Now, there are multiple points to this match that I'm going to point out. There's multiple things that I want to address. But first and foremost, I'm actually impressed with Jey as a whole. Jey, for almost the past year, I feel has kind of been criticized for his lack of in-ring ability and his very limited moveset as a whole. And with this match, I was so surprised with what I was seeing on display. From power bombs to suplexes to just the feel of the match as a whole, I was so impressed. I was actually enjoying the match. Don't get me wrong, anything with Gunther is guaranteed to be a 10 out of 10 match. Now, I was a bit worried that Jey might not really be able to keep up with Gunther on that level. And it surprised me just how good the match felt. The pacing was good. I was intrigued with everything that was going on. I was surprised at the move that Jey was pulling off. It genuinely baffled me to be like, wow, Jey's actually really good. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy Jey Uso's matches in general, but he is not without his flaws. So just to see this felt really good. Gunther was Gunther. Like, there's not really much to say with Gunther. You're gonna get a 10 out of 10 match. Gunther brought it. He always brings it every single time. It's just what Gunther does. Jey impressed me because I genuinely wasn't expecting a lot, especially from WrestleMania 40. Let's just say there were only 2 super kicks and I was impressed. That was enough to impress me. But as a whole, this match felt good from beginning to end. However, we have to address the elephant in the room. Gunther tapped out and I didn't like that. I think there's a lot of people that can agree that Gunther tapping out doesn't feel good. Gunther was built to be this monster, this dragon that needs to be slain, this ultimate evil that needs to be taken down. So to kind of have him tap out doesn't feel good. Don't get me wrong, I like that Jey actually used the sleeper hold on him, the same sleeper hold that he used on Jimmy. It's kind of satisfying in the storytelling's perspective. I just didn't like how quickly he tapped out and the fact that he tapped out. Case in point, Gunther should have just been slept. That's really it. He should have been put in the sleeper hold and went to sleep. It kind of sucks because I genuinely liked this match. And that was the one thing where I was like, I didn't like that. And left a bitter taste in my mouth that was quickly washed away by the fact that Jey was holding the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You love to see it, boys. You love to see it. This is the stuff that dreams are made of. Jey Uso winning the World Heavyweight Championship has been a long time coming. I don't care what anyone else says. Yes, there's going to be things that people will judge about this match, but as a whole, the match was fantastic. It wasn't a 10 out of 10, but it was fantastic. And Jimmy giving Jey the title in the end, beautiful.
It's enough to make a grown man cry, and that's okay. You go right ahead, T.
I understand that Jey Uso has his detractors. I fully understand it. And yes, this story struggled a lot. And I think there was a lot to criticize, and I think people were genuine and in the right to feel it the way they felt about the storytelling that took place here. However, I think we've gotten to a point where the hate for Jey is feeling forced, especially online. I understand that there's certain aspects of Jey that people don't like. Number one, people wanted John to win the Royal Rumble. I fully get that. And I'm one of the people that wanted him to win as well. Yes, I'm happy with how the story played out now, but I was a bit upset. But I wasn't so upset that I think Jey didn't deserve it. That for me, I don't think is fair. Now, yes, was it questionable how they built this match? Yes. Were there stumbles? Yes. Were there certain things that just weren't clicking? Yes. Did Jey not really bring his A game all the time? Yes. But at the end of the day, this was a moment. This was a triumph. You don't get matches like this. You don't get moments like this often. Jey winning his first World Heavyweight Championship is the stuff dreams are made of. This is what wrestling is all about. Jey Uso overcoming Gunther, the monster of WWE, is such a beautiful story. Yes, it was a struggle to get here. However, we crossed that mountain when Gunther attacked Jimmy, giving Jey that personal reason why he needs to go after Gunther. The drive that Jey has shown to get to this World Heavyweight Championship that has been built for months, I would argue years. If we're really going back, it's been a long time coming. Jey Uso deserves this win. I don't think there's anyone that can genuinely argue this. You may not like him. You may think that the heat is getting a bit much, and maybe it is. But the fact of the matter is that Jey is the main event. Main event Jey Uso, if you will. As I said, a messy ride, but a beautiful one. Jey Uso is your World Heavyweight Champion, and I cannot wait to see what the future brings. Next up, The New Day versus the War Raiders. I'm gonna be very frank, this match should not have been on the card. I'm being very honest. I genuinely don't think that the story they built here quite met WrestleMania standards. This wasn't a WrestleMania match. Now, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and the War Raiders, personally, I actually think was a decent match. Everything in the ring was good. It was a good match. There was nothing I can take away from this match. The only issue that I have is that the story wasn't there, and it didn't feel like it quite belonged. However, I will say this. I think at the end of the day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods winning the World Heavyweight Championships, the tag team World Heavyweight Championships, was the right decision. Yes, I don't think they should have been on the card at all. But I will say, what we have now is a very interesting point. I still think Kofi Kingston and Xavier haven't quite reached the levels that they should. And I think with the titles now on them, it will bring them to that level that they were struggling for quite a while. The New Day's heel turn was one of the best heel turns in all of WWE. It is up there in the top 10, top 20 at least. It is phenomenal how good that was handled. However, they didn't quite capitalize on it since. They had some good spots. They got booed out the building multiple times. Yes, it was funny to watch. And going online and seeing Kofi Kingston basically erase anything in relation to Big E and his mother of all things is the funniest thing ever. Don't get me wrong. There's good stuff here, genuinely. I just don't think the story was quite there. Now that the titles are actually on them, I hope they bring Big E back into the picture. I think the New Day have the heat on them. I think they are good heels and they're good villains, and I think they have what it takes to be the apex of the tag team division. However, I think they need to really go deep with this. Bring Big E back, have them basically torment Big E all throughout their run. I just need them to be really conniving and really just do something interesting with this. They're too good to be wasted, and the levels of heat that they have right now is too good to just be ignored. I'm not impressed with this match. I think the match was decent, but all in all, forgettable. However, we can still build from this. That's what I'll say. Now, let's talk about a match that was actually really well built. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This story was amazing. Jade Cargill being injured, Naomi being the one that injured her, and the heel turn of Naomi becoming a villain and this conniving character, amazing, flawless even. I loved everything that the story has to offer. And the match was really good. I knew going into this match that number one, Jade Cargill was winning. Jade Cargill is a very interesting character, and I think they have lightning in a bottle. Quite literally, the storm is coming, boys. Jade Cargill, I think, is the future. She's definitely someone that's going to be around for a long while. However, what I liked more about this match wasn't necessarily what Jade Cargill was doing, but Naomi as a whole. Naomi's presentation has been amazing. And I think what I liked most was she never seemed weak, even going up against someone like Jade Cargill, who was a unit of a woman. Naomi in this match, I feel, was the MVP. The stuff that she was doing was impressive. I was entertained all throughout this match, and I have to say, it was just a good match. There's nothing to say more than that. This match was good, and more than anything, I think it built both Jade Cargill and Naomi. I think one thing I'm always worried about with these kind of matches is that I don't want the villain to be buried too much, especially someone like Naomi, who's kind of finding her footing. I think for a long time, Naomi has just kind of been floating in the WWE. Not necessarily feel like she fits in any one particular place, but just going from one story to the next. But this is some really good stuff. And the villain turn and the whole thing with Bianca and Jade, I think really was well done. And I like that they did not make Naomi seem weak, but instead made me more interested in seeing what she has to offer in the future. All in all, Naomi is a star and Jade is the future. Good all around. Next up, LA Knight versus Jacob. Bah! This match, this was special. Now, going into this match, I was expecting a few things, but one thing I was hoping and I was praying, please do not squash LA Knight. Number one, I gotta address the elephant in the room. LA Knight should have never dropped the US title, ever. Yes, don't get me wrong, it was cool when Shinsuke came back with the new theme, the new look, the new character, it was cool, but it was such a disappointing run. It was so disappointing. And it's kind of been Shinsuke's whole career. He finally builds momentum and then leads to nothing. It's so disappointing every time. LA Knight should have never lost the USA title. He really should not have lost it. And then getting it back, again, what a great moment. But I'm still a bit bitter that he lost it again. I'm not a fan of how LA Knight loses titles. I'm genuinely not a fan. He should not have lost it, but that's really the only negative I have to say about this match. As a whole, what a match this was. It felt like LA Knight was throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Jacob, and he just could not bring this monster down, and what a fun time that was. It was so good to watch that. Every single thing that LA Knight threw, Jacob shrugged off. And the way Jacob's been built is so good. It's genuinely this otherworldly being that needs to be taken over. That like, he's just this beast that just cannot be stopped. I love it. And don't get me wrong, there will be points where Jacob will probably lose, but right now, what they're doing with him is really good and I'm really enjoying. And can we talk about that moonsault into the BFT? Oh my God, that was amazing. This match is gonna feed families. This was such a good match. I loved everything that was on display. But I pray and hope that there's still more for LA Knight. Again, I'm super upset that LA Knight lost the title because I'm a big LA Knight fan, but I understand Jacob's special. This whole thing was special. You have to capitalize. And speaking of Jacob, I'm actually shocked that Jacob won the title. I was fully expecting maybe Solo to come in and disrupt the match, maybe some weird interference and some excuse that, oh, we're not going to pull the trigger quite yet. But no, if there's one thing I have to criticize about the Triple H run of WWE, he takes too long sometimes to pull the trigger, and more often than not, that leads to stories and characters going nowhere. And stories that were really good at that point and could have been capitalized at that point, he generally doesn't pull the trigger. And the stuff like that where I'm not a big fan of. He's a big fan of long-term storytelling, and don't get me wrong, it has its place, but not every time. So I'm kind of happy that Jake won, and I'm pretty sad that LA Knight lost. It's a bit bittersweet, but this was beautiful, boys. This was beautiful. Next up, the legend himself, El Grande Americano. Oh my God, boys. What can be said that hasn't been said? A true living legend. One of a kind, will never be replicated, cannot be replaced. The boy, El Grande Americano. And the rumors of him being Chad Gable, okay guys, it's getting old. Seriously, it's getting old. Like, it was funny, don't get me wrong, but can we move on? Can we move on, okay? El Grande Americano is El Grande Americano. Chad Gable is Chad Gable. Are they both amazing? Yes, but can we just move on, please? Thank you. all jokes aside, this match was a bit of a sleeper for me. I was not expecting much. This match, again, was also a bit messy. It's a running theme with WrestleMania 41. Messy. Rey Mysterio was supposed to be the one that was supposed to go up against Grande Americano. But instead, he got replaced with Rey Fenix. Again, it was a bit weird, but not so weird as to like that didn't make sense. I was like, oh, okay, he's a luchador. Okay, he's going up against this so-called fake luchador by those fake fans. But what I will say is this was again a sleeper. This had no right to be as good as it was. Rey Fenix, I was not expecting any of that. Like, don't get me wrong. When it comes to Rey Fenix, I love his style. Like, I'm very excited to see the future of him, and I was not expecting to see anything that he had to pull out in that match. Everything that Rey Fenix had to do felt special. Like, his moveset is so unique and so different and so flashy. It's a joy to watch. And then you got a Grande Americano there, and he's got this mix of just a true grounded wrestler, but he also has that lucha libre flair. It was such a good mix that had no right to be as good as it was. From all the high-flying maneuvers, all the grounded moves, everything just kind of blended well. Again, when you have a legend like Grande Americano, you can't really get bad matches, but it's still surprising to see how good this match was. Now, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. First and foremost, once again, messy. That is the word, boys. Messy is the word. Everything that had to do with this build was just off. Charlotte Flair coming back and winning the Royal Rumble felt, I don't know, draining. Now, I for one love Charlotte Flair because I'm a Charlotte Flair fan. But I can also admit that I kind of wanted someone else to win. I thought there was other opportunities that could have come that were kind of a better opportunity, or at least a better move from WWE. And this whole story was just handled poorly. From beginning to end, this story was a mess. It really was. It had some bright spots, don't get me wrong. I actually enjoyed the little back and forth between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. It got a bit personal, weirdly personal, but all in all, it was a decent back and forth. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think this match has the highs of Jey Uso winning the WWE Heavyweight Championship, and I don't think it has the highs of the main event that we're gonna get into later. But as a just pure wrestling match, from beginning to end, this match was just gritty. It was everything I wasn't expecting it to be. Like, I genuinely was so surprised by this. Charlotte Flair dominated 80% of this match, but Tiffany's grit and determination was fully on display. I don't know what it was about this match, but it felt raw. And that's the only word I can really use to explain it. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair are mirrors of each other, and it's very interesting to see how they put this match on. From Charlotte dominating in the beginning, to Tiffany taking advantage of the leg, to actually them not using their finishes as much as I thought. They were very reserved with how often they use their finishes, which I kind of like, especially in wrestling. I'm not a big fan of wrestlers spanning their finishes non-stop. However, there are certain matches where it kind of feels right. Case in point, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. It was just finisher after finisher, but it felt perfect. However, that wasn't necessarily what this was. There were points where their finishes were used, but it was very sparingly, and I like that. And this whole match felt so gritty. It's so hard to explain how I felt about this match, but as a whole, Charlotte Flair is amazing, and you will never get me to hate Charlotte Flair. And Tiffany Stratton is so good at what she does. And Tiffany winning, oh my god, that took me by surprise. I fully went into this match thinking Charlotte was winning. Okay, and I'm saying that as a Charlotte Flair fan. I do think that Charlotte Flair wins a bit too much sometimes, and it kind of feels like she's steamrolling through the female division at times. However, this, in my opinion, felt earned. And I think what I liked most is that Charlotte Flair was dominant throughout this entire match, and Tiffany felt like she used moments to take down Charlotte, and I think that's what I like. She took advantage of small moments like attacking the leg, using a finisher at the right moment. Stuff like that I think worked really well for this match. It was so good. Weirdly good, but good. All in all, I'm happy. Tiffany time is here, and you'll love to see it. Now, the main event. Truly the end of an era, boys. Truly the end of an era. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. Those three names alone should tell you everything you need to know. Beautiful, tragic, what a moment. That is the perfect words to explain this match. First and foremost, disregard everything I said about the previous match. This match was finishes after finisher after finisher. From spears to stomps to GSTs, non-stop. And every time a finisher was landed, I was so certain that that person was gonna win. The near falls in this match had me on edge the entire time. I was waiting bated breath for every pin count. Oh my God. I was on edge the entire time. This is one of those matches where there is no losing. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, either of these three men winning is enough. It doesn't matter which one of them win. So what was more interesting was to see the story that was taking place. And oh my God, was it so good. It was so good. From Roman Reigns teaming up with Seth and then betraying Seth, from CM Punk rolling out of the ring to kind of let Seth and Roman fight amongst each other. Everything was so perfectly handled. From Roman Reigns actively always looking out of the ring to see Paul Heyman there on the side and just the disdain on his face for Paul Heyman at that time. Everything was so well handled. And the piece de resistance, boys. Paul Heyman. What just happened? What just happened? Paul Heyman low blowing both CM Punk and Roman Reigns. What was that? Paul Heyman turning on both CM Punk and Roman Reigns is not what I had on my bingo card for WrestleMania 41. Don't get me wrong, I fully expected Paul Heyman to maybe just turn on Roman Reigns and join CM Punk. But no, he joined Seth freaking Rollins. What do you mean he joined Seth? What do you mean? Seth basically turning heel and joining allies with Paul Heyman is not at all how I expected this to play out. Not even a little. It is such a monumental moment. Paul Heyman has been the right-hand man to Roman Reigns for so long. It feels almost forbidden for him to betray him like this. I can still understand maybe him joining CM Punk because that's his best friend, but joining Seth? This is uncharted territory. And I cannot wait. Heel Seth is back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, this is going to be generational. Now, the one thing I will say is the look on Roman's face. He looked so distraught. This actually looked like it broke him. This is the kind of story that I kind of like about wrestling. And this is the stuff that you can't really get anywhere else. The story of Roman Reigns being betrayed by everyone he loves is a constant in his life. It is such a prevailing story. And I love that at some points, every single character that we know in WWE or someone who was closely affiliated with Roman has betrayed him. You name it, from Jay to Chummy, from Sami Zayn to Solo Sikoa, from Seth freaking Rollins to Paul Heyman. Everyone has betrayed Roman Reigns. There's not a single person that he has loved or cared for that hasn't betrayed him. It's things like this where I think Triple H shines with the long-term storytelling. This is where Triple H is in his bag and absolutely knows what he's doing. Roman is the ultimate tragic hero. He tries to do the right thing, he gets betrayed. He tries ruling with an iron fist, he gets betrayed. He tries loosening up and showing more affection towards the people he cares for. He gets betrayed. The ultimate tragic hero, Roman Reigns. Phenomenal storytelling. All in all, the storytelling in this match was breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. I was on my toes constantly throughout this entire match. Every move, every finisher, every look to Paul Heyman, every look to Seth Rollins, every look to CM Punk, everything that took place in this match, from the storytelling to the maneuvers, was perfect. Three of the best wrestlers to ever do it. From beginning to end, this story, this build, this rivalry was amazing. What a main event. And there's still more to come, boys. You'll love to see it. For my closing thoughts, this was quite an interesting WrestleMania. Again, messy. The entirety of this WrestleMania was messy, but the end result, the actual WrestleMania itself, a beautiful mess, but beautiful nonetheless. I love wrestling, and I truly enjoy it to its fullest potential, and everything that was in this match is what I believe wrestling should be. Were there stumbles? Yes. Were there problems? Yes. But at the end of the day, did I enjoy myself? Yes. There is nothing quite like wrestling. The moments, the stories, the characters, everything that wrestling is was fully on display in this WrestleMania. Yes, messy, but at the same time, beautiful. Then, now, and forever, wrestling will be amazing. Thank you for watching.